Welcome to Policing TV. I'm delighted to be joined by re-elected Dorset PCC, David Sidwick. Re-elected for a second term. David, congratulations on that.
Well, thank you very much
Um,
indeed,
t-
Bernard.
Tell us about that election campaign and, in particular, what people were telling you on the streets of Dorset as you were campaigning.
So they were telling me pretty much what they told me 3 years before. I did an extensive survey routine and 50 talks when I was a candidate the last time round. And very clearly, they wanted things to be addressed. Those things became manifesto promises and they became the police and crime plan priorities. So when I went out this time, it was very clear that they wanted the same things to be addressed. They wanted antisocial behaviour to be addressed where it hadn't been before. They want the issue of their police force to be visible, connected, and engaged with them, which it wasn't before. And it didn't matter who you spoke to in Dorset. That was one of the issues which they felt still needed to be addressed. I've had some very nice comments in some areas. I've had residents come up to me after a residents' meeting and shake my hand because they've seen police officers on their streets with the uplift. But also there are other pockets where they haven't seen that and they haven't felt that yet. So it's now about getting consistency so that they actually see their police officers. And they also want issues which I'm very clear are at the heart of a lot of our criminality, which is the issue of addiction. And they want the drug deals which they may see. They want that being addressed. And we've got a very proud rural community in Dorset. So they also want the rural crime. We've had great success with that. They want that to continue. And so it was pretty much what I expected it to be. The issues which had affected us 3 years ago, obviously not even a full term, some of those they still want to be addressed. And I think you'd find that in whatever area you spoke to people. Those three
So
things, I think, are core.
you mentioned that it wasn't a full term because of the pandemic. The You were elected in 2021. Previous PCC enjoyed a 5 year rather than a 4 year term. Your term cut from 4 years to three. So as yet, you haven't yet served 4 years, which would be a normal term of office for a police and crime commissioner. So looking to the next 4 years, let's hope there's not another pandemic which in some way disrupts matters. So you've described there your mission, what it is you plan to do, what you put to the electorate, and they've supported. What do you feel is different, if I can put it this way, from the David Sidwick that was elected 3 years ago? What have you take into your second term of office that you didn't have in your armoury in that first term?
Well, I think the first thing that you have now as a second termer, if I can put it that way, is that you have an understanding of how things work. Some of the first 6 months, you are even with the exceptional research I did for 3 years full time, you still need to make the contacts. You still need to have an understanding, and there's pieces that you don't understand beforehand. For example, the criminal justice system. They won't talk to candidates. So you are starting on the back foot with that, but not now, you see, after 3 years. So it's that. It's also taking the foundations which have been laid in those 3 years. I mean, we've gone from 10th safest area to 7th safest area. We've cut antisocial behaviour by 25% across the county. Some areas have had significantly higher cuts in antisocial behaviour, which is excellent. But it is meaningless if tomorrow somebody throws a brick through your window. So it is getting that consistency now and getting that embedded and also tackling some of the root causes of the antisocial behaviour. So some of our young people, we've got great young people in Dorset, we've got some who start falling into bad choices. And it's about trying to address that. And it's also trying to address those with an addiction, which also can cause some of the antisocial behaviour. From the point of view of the visibility of the police, obviously some of that is about resources. So when I came into office 3 years ago, I had probably one of the lowest numbers of police officers ever in Dorset at 1,287. We've now got 1,441. So it's making certain that they are now visible because they've only just started coming out of the training courses and start being deployed. So that hasn't really landed to the effect on the population that I would want yet, but it will do. And also we've started looking at how they engage. So we now have 72 community contact points, which we didn't have before, where they meet with the public. And I've started reopening some front offices as well, in areas which really wanted that to happen. And probably the biggest change compared to what was there before is the way that we're tackling the issue of illegal drugs. So now we are really taking the fight. We've got collaborations which didn't occur before. And uniquely, our police and crime commissioners came together with something called Operation Scorpion in the southwest. That's worked extremely well. We've closed 40% of county lines. We're now starting with the last phase of Operation Scorpion. We actually arrested 37 people dealing on the streets. So we're starting to really address the issues which people wanted us to. But it's only because we've got that foundation, and that took time to embed.
I'd like to come back in a moment to, you've mentioned drugs and addiction a couple of times at least, and you lead or you share the lead on portfolio, the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners portfolio on addiction with, in fact, a Labour PCC. Before I come on to that, acknowledging that there's only one new Conservative Police and Crime Commissioner and there are many new Labour Police and Crime Commissioners. So this piece of advice that I'm seeking from you will apply more to Labour than it will to Conservative. Drawing on then, looking back with hindsight at your first 6 months a year as Police and Crime Commissioner in your last term, what advice might you offer to a new Police and Crime Commissioner as he or she sets out or sets about the early part of their 4-year term of office?
I think it's about the core of what the job's about. Make certain you've got the golden thread there. So the thread that joins the needs of the people, what they say to you, they make certain that drives your priorities in the police and crime plan. And then make certain that the force change their operation vision to fit with your police and crime plan. There should not be any distance between the two. And certainly you keep that real. So make certain you engage with the public all throughout your term. I do 1 or 2 residents' meetings a week to make certain that their needs are still the same and then how we're doing against them. And from that, then I will talk to the chief on a Monday and we'll discuss where there are issues, where there aren't issues, etc. So keep that engagement with the public. No matter how much fun everything else looks like, make certain that you keep that at your core because that's the job.
Okay, let's turn then to that Association of Police and Crime Commissioners portfolio that you share with the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner, Joy Allen. Now, from a distance, that seems to have been a constructive and fruitful relationship, working relationship that you've had with Joy on drugs and addiction. You'll give me the precise name of the portfolio in a second. Is that how you would characterise it? And is it something that you hope now that we come to reconsiderations by the APCC of the portfolios and their assignation to different PCCs? So is that portfolio, the APCC addiction for one that you would hope to continue working in, leading with Joy Allen, the Labour PCC, as matters are reconsidered by the association?
Yes, absolutely. I think you are right. We have had a very fruitful relationship. We are 2 reasonable human beings. We sat down together right at the start and agreed what direction we wanted to take it in. It was originally called Drugs and Alcohol, and we wanted to change it to the Addiction and Substance Misuse because we both found that we had a passion around the third addiction of the tripod, if I can put it that way, which is the issue of harmful gambling. So that's why it's addiction and substance misuse. we found that we've been able to work productively. We've had some pretty big wins. We lobbied and lobbied hard for the issue of nitrous oxide, for that to be made illegal. We've inputted to From Harm to Hope, the 10-year drug strategy, and we've played a significant part in bi-monthly meetings with ministers, talking about how we can implement that 10-year policy. So it's been very fruitful, and we get on, and we know where our red lines are, and we've agreed those at the start. So that seems to work very well, and we've both just carried on. I mean, I've just signed off on something for the portfolio about 10 minutes ago with Joy. So we need to keep that going. Something else that we've been very aligned on is the use of naloxone, and tried to get more and more forces to adopt that, particularly with the threat of the synthetic opioids, which is occurring. So yeah, we want to carry on.
Well, it's fascinating to hear that Labour and Conservative police and crime commissioners can work constructively together. Not something that surprises me, given my interest, the interest I've taken in police and crime commissioners, but it may surprise others. Of course, that may be put to the test the coming few months as we head towards inevitably a general election. But at its heart, police and crime commissioners want to serve their public. And it's evident that very often serving their public is about partnerships, whether with other police and crime commissioners or indeed others. So, David, we have only limited time. We've run out of that time. I very much welcome the opportunity in the near future to pick up with you and your team, your OPCC, Office of Police and Crime Commissioner team, and indeed the force, to cover more of what you are doing in Dorset and indeed nationally. But David Sidwick, Dorset Police and Crime Commissioner, for the time being, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ben.